Who am I?
Where did we come from?
What's God like?
If he does exist, does he really hear me when I pray?
Would he want to meet me?
Why do we suffer?
Where can I find hope?
God is closer than you think.
God is closer than you think.
In Wales, March the 1st is a very important day in the year, St. David's Day. As boys, we'd all go to school in rugby shirts or old Welsh miners' caps, and the girls in their old Welsh ladies' costumes, and we'd all have little leeks and daffodils. Wherever you're from, we all love to remember our roots, our heritage, to celebrate our uniqueness. But these traditions have to start somewhere. For instance, have you ever wondered, who is this man, David? This monk who went on to become a bishop, who after his death was first called a saint, and whose status rose even higher to the extremely rare position of a patron saint of a nation, of our nation, of Wales. So, who was he? What was he like? What sets him apart as being so special? Well, for starters, it was said that he was born on top of a cliff during a thunderstorm, and from that dramatic entrance into the world, he continued to leave a lasting imprint. He's probably best known for the time when he was preaching in an open field, and people at the back of the crowds complained they couldn't see or hear him. And it was said that the ground beneath his feet actually rose up to form a hill, so that everyone could see. The small village of Llanderry Brefi now stands on the site, but all of that is said to take place. Of course, centuries later, it is hard now to pick through the stories and separate truths from legend. But what is clear is that one of the things that defined David's life was his simplicity. Above all other claims and accolades, his was simply a life of prayer. He founded many monasteries. He taught that life should be uncomplicated and uncluttered by possessions or positions. He encouraged his followers to devote their time instead to the mysterious adventure of encountering the peace, presence, and power of God in prayer. David's last sermon before he died is said to have closed with these words: "Be joyful, keep your faith and your creed, do the little things you've seen me do and heard about. I will walk the path that our fathers have trod before us." That phrase, "do the little things," is still a popular saying in some parts of Wales, even today. St. David's influence is undoubtedly felt all around us. But what about his message? His rallying call to prayer? His simple belief that God can be known by us, that he hears the cry of the human heart, and more than that God somehow responds, that heaven itself is moved by the heart cry of earth. Well, every Sunday, right across the country, Christians will gather in churches of all shapes and sizes, big, small, young, old, to pursue this same mysterious adventure of encountering the peace, presence, and power of this same God. Question: is it worth it? Is there more going on here than meets the eye? Is this just some cultural tradition, or does prayer actually work somehow? Can the longings of our souls really reach beyond the limitations of this physical realm to a place where God can hear us? Can he hear me? Why would he want to listen? How would he want to reply?
After we found out that I may have scoliosis, that's when we started really going into it, like what the procedure would be.
The surgery that Steph would have had, and what most of the teenagers do have, entails 2 titanium rods inserted either side of the spine and then screwed at various points along the length of the spine.
When we went to the hospital and there was people saying, so-and-so's had their the surgery, I think about, and I've seen them and how they were, I think, you know, they look amazing, but then they won't be able to do what I want to do and be able to move in the way that like you have to when you're dancing and things like that.
I had another x-ray and this consultant said, well, it's got worse. Have you not noticed anything? And yet the spine had gone up to 33 degrees. And what we knew was at 40 degrees, they would operate. There's no going back. None of the consultants have the faith in a brace because they haven't seen it work. So within the first 12 weeks that Steph started wearing the brace, Paul took me to one side and said, she's trying it. He said, I anticipate that Steph will end up having surgery by the end of the summer.
So this was what the brace was. It had pads in here to push my ribs that would then straighten the spine, and then because it was pushing in this side, it would have this for the rest of me to fall out of. So I had to wear my brace for 3 years now, and I wore it 21 hours a day. 12
weeks after Steph started wearing the brace, she went back to the clinic for checkup, and I think everyone thought it'll have progressed even more. And when Paul, her consultant, looked at her x-ray, his jaw dropped to the desk, and he said, it's got 12 degrees better in 12 weeks. And he was speechless.
I think to know that God was helping me through it just made me feel so special and just amazing, like knowing that everyone was in church praying for me and things like that. I think it helped me carry on.
Some people might say, well, it's down to sheer determination, but hey, any help, wherever, you know, whether that comes from the big man himself or whether it's your mum and dad or whatever it may be, then don't knock it.
Could that be just a coincidence? Some unexplained phenomenon? Could the pieces of the puzzle just have fitted together by accident at just the right moment? If it is all a coincidence, you at least have to agree that an awful lot of coincidences happen when people pray. It's just true in this life that the answers we get will be determined by the questions we ask. If one of my children asks me for something, the answer could be yes or no or not yet or something else, depending on what I believe to be best for them. If they were to ask for my time, I hope my answer would always be yes, and at least that's what we all aspire to as parents. Jesus' own teaching on prayer was absolutely scandalous in the culture of his day. He taught people to pray, calling God their Father. What if prayer was never meant to be simply an endless shopping list, a stream of requests, but an invitation to a relationship that connected you to the very source, the origin of life itself, to the God who loves you as his child, who cares about the choices you make, and who wants the very best for you, who longs for you to stop and give him that most precious of your gifts, your time and attention. What if around us there are these stories, these lives that have been forever changed by that relationship, changed in a way that could only possibly be described as supernatural? I honestly don't know if the ground really rose up that day at Llanderry Brevi for David to talk to the crowds. But what I do know is this: there can be no doubt that prayer has shaped and reshaped the landscape of these islands. That the faithful who have pressed in to know God in prayer have known something of a power that is beyond themselves, power to be changed and to forever change their world, to be healed and to heal others emotionally, spiritually, and even physically, to push back the normal boundaries of possibility and to discover the dimensions of another kingdom, another world, another way. What if it's not a coincidence? What if God hears the cry of every human heart, of my heart, of yours? Wouldn't it be worth pursuing? Wouldn't it be worth finding out if it's a coincidence or something more? Think about it. Talk about it. Question.